This is Amy Chan from CakeDecoratingSchool.com, and if you like cake decorating, you're in the right place. Thanks for checking out one of our past live sessions. If you had fun and enjoyed it, we'll hope you tune in for one of our future lives. And remember, if you're one of our paid members, you can watch these and all the rest of them anytime on your platform. Hey everybody! We are going to be making these little guys today, right? So adorable little hedgehog cupcakes. You can see I've done some white buttercream. And then for the spikes, I did a really light gray, so I used just a little bit of coal black and mixed in a tiny bit of brown. So it's a nice kind of medium gray color. He's got an adorable little face, and I made some little fondant ears and little feet for him. And we will get started on this project. So first step is to pipe the base. And so I've gone and done just kind of like a modified dot on top of my cupcake with a big decorator's tip, and I started out doing a dot and then I pulled it forward so I have a nice little point to do his face on. Right. So I used white buttercream. Keep in mind that hedgehogs come in a variety of different colors, right? So you can always do tans and browns and other stuff and mix it up, right? I'm gonna pull a cupcake to the center, and I'm just gonna take that tip, go up off the surface, pipe a nice big dot, and when I have a nice full thickness, slide it forward so you get that nice little point. And kind of the pointier and funnier they are, the better, because then they have quirky, adorable little faces. Right? I'm gonna take one that's been sitting for a little bit in the refrigerator, and I'm just gonna use a cookie cutter. You can also use a toothpick just to kind of, right, mark two little lines, and it might be hard to see, but I'm just trying to get that little widow's peak shape, right, on top, so I know where to go in with my grass tip and where to put the little spikes, so I leave a cute little shape for his face.
For just one question real quick, that
Sure.
first tip, what did you use?
I believe it is an 806, but I will double check. Sorry, sometimes the numbers are hard to read in this light. Oh, sorry with the shine on the bag. I don't know. Can you read that one?
808.
Ah, it's 808. So it's slightly bigger than the 806. They're two sizes of the plain tips that are really nice and big, right? And so for his little face, I just have some black mixed up with a number 2 tip, so something nice and small, number 1, number 2, whatever you're comfortable using. And I'm going to do a little triangle on the point and then 2 little dots above it. So just a quick little triangle and then 1, 2 little dots. And hedgehogs are funny little animals, so I kind of like it when they're a little funny, right? And then I'm using what's called a grass tip. It is one that is shorter kind of than a normal tip. It has a flat surface with multiple openings. A lot of people call it the Muppet hair tip, right? Just because it's great for doing things like Cookie Monster, oops, sorry, I'm off screen, and other projects like that. And when you're using it, you want to make sure, one, that none of the openings are blocked. So give it a squeeze and make sure frosting is coming out of everybody. And if it's not coming out of every hole, use a toothpick and poke there just to make sure it's coming out nicely. And when you use it, right, I'm going to try and get this lined up. You want to make sure that when you squeeze, it's attaching, and then pull away while you're still squeezing, and that'll give you those little spiky hairs, right? And typically when I start a project, I start around the outside edge, right, and work my way to the center. And so I've loaded my bag, you can kind of see it right there, so that it's white around the edges and gray in the center. And this kind of mixes up the colors. And for hedgehogs, because their spikes get longer, right, towards the back, and they're kind of shorter at the front, I usually do a nice little short layer, right, I'll show you that, around the base of the cupcake, and then as I work my way back, I make them a little longer in the back. So I'm going to just keep going. So I'll start at the front where my little line is, and as I go towards the back, I just squeeze a little bit longer as I'm pulling, and that'll give you longer hairs. It takes a little practice to give it right every time. The tip's not always the best for being exact, but usually you're making something that doesn't have to be perfect, so don't sweat it if some of them are shorter, and honestly, you can always go back and go on top of something if you don't like it, right? So I'm just gonna keep going around the surface, and right now he looks like he has male pattern baldness hedgehog action going on, so I'm just gonna keep going until I fill him in. I know, funny, they always look so adorably cute like this. They look like tiny little bald hedgehogs. Makes me giggle every single time, right? And just keep going, right? And so as I get to the back, I'm just gonna squeeze a little longer as I pull, and you can see I get some longer hairs back there. And leave it a little shorter in the front. I know, you can really go to town. You can just leave them a little bald spot in the middle. They're adorable either way, right? And so I kind of went long and fluffy there, and I'll go a little shorter here.
Okay, while you're doing this, there's a
Sure,
question.
awesome.
To backtrack question, how long did you leave the buttercream in the fridge to set before working on it?
That is a good question. I prep these overnight. You don't have to do that. It really depends on how big of a mound you make, but usually 20 or 30 minutes is enough for it to get firm enough to work on. But if, depending on your climate, how warm your buttercream was to start with, if you pull it out and start working on it and it feels hard to work with, put it back in for another 10 or 15 minutes, because everybody's different. Everybody's refrigerator is different. You know, just make sure that it works for you. So I also loaded up another bag with a small 2-tip, right? And it's just half gray, half white. And I'm just gonna use this to put in a few little hairs along the edge. Oh, sorry. Right, try and get this at a good angle so I can see it and you can see it. And that just kind of cleans up the line along the face, because that grass tip is a circular one, so sometimes you'll end up with odd, weird little gaps that can be hard to fill in. So don't be afraid to load yourself a second bag just to kind of clean up those edges if you want to.
Is that the same tip? Somebody asked what tip was that?
It's just a number 2 tip. So it makes it easy just to fill any little gaps, because the grass tip, sorry, it's a little hard to see, is a series of holes that are circular. So sometimes when you're trying to create a clean edge, like along this little area right by his face, you'll get gaps in that. So I try not to worry too much about those or get in there too closely or obsess about them. And if I have any little problem areas, I just load up a singular number 2 tip, same color buttercream, and you can go in and fill some of those little spaces in. And then we have some little finishing details to do on these. I just took a little white fondant. I'm gonna roll it out with my roller, because hedgehogs have adorable little ears kind of right next to their cute little faces. And I thought he also needed some adorable little feet, or she, right? So I'm just taking a number 12 tip and cutting out a few circles, 2 for the ears, right? And 2 for the feet. I'll take the 2 for the feet and just roll them up into little pills, right? And then you can then take a toothpick or another tool and just kind of mark them, right? So he has little paws. And then just to make them a little bigger, sometimes when I cut out rounds, I'll do this. I just give them a smash and flatten them just so they have a little more presence. And then we're ready to dress this little guy up.
For the question, sometimes we do put our live. We plan to put some of our past live on our YouTube channel. But if you're a member student, you can watch our live anytime you want. We usually upload the day after on our website, and then the subscribed student can watch it over the website.
Right. So then I just placed those little details in there. I gave him some ears just right back in his little hairline, and some little feet right at the edges, and that gives them an adorable little personality. And feel free to, you can always dress up your hedgehogs. I always keep little flowers and hearts and other things on hand. That way, if you want it to go with a party theme, like a baby shower or a birthday, yeah, thanks for the hearts, you can always make adorable little hedgehogs that have fun little details like bows and hearts and flowers, right? Make it like a little Valentine. And it's a great way to customize it for any holiday. All of a sudden, he's ready for Valentine's Day. Wouldn't you love getting this? I know I would. If anyone else has any questions for today, other than ones we've already got, just let us know. Otherwise, we will plan on seeing you next week. I'm working on some other fun little cupcake project ideas, maybe some for the fall season or Halloween. So if anyone has any requests, let us know. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like more about the cake decorating materials and equipment we use, or just some inspirational videos about cake decorating itself, you can follow us on Insta or YouTube at Cake Decorating School. If you'd like to know more about yearly membership and what it entails, you can go to www.cakedecorating.school.com for more information. And if you're interested in these products, you can check the links in the description.